So, you want to create a vegetable garden. And let me tell you, it is no easy feat. It's quite challenging to create your own garden, your first garden. And whether you are looking to plant a small or large one, it's definitely going to require a lot of research, planning, and then a lot of pulling up your sleeves and getting in the hard work. Now, right now it is the winter time, so it's actually the most opportune time to start planning for a garden because you can't actually be out there gardening. And I love to be able to take this time to really hunker down and plan. And we're going to talk all about how you can plan the perfect garden from start to finish. Every step of the way, we're going to guide you through. The first step is going to be research. So you're going to want to break out your computer, your smartphone, any type of gardening books, and I'll include some of our favorite down below. But it's really important that you start to get a vision of what you really want out of your garden. And you decide the purpose of what you're gardening for. Because there's a lot of different purposes that you can be starting a garden. You could want one for company or social settings. You could want just an herb garden to add into your kitchen. You could add a huge garden and start to supplement all of your food by gardening in your backyard, which is our goal here at our homestead. Or you could just want to start growing your own fruits and vegetables in order to supplement some of the food that you're purchasing at the grocery store. And as food gets more expensive, I definitely hope that more and more people are starting this journey because it's going to make such a difference. But you really want to start to plan your purpose and think about what type of size and goals that you have and write everything down that you research so you have it in one space, one area. I really like to handwrite things down or at least print it on my computer and hang it up somewhere so I can start to think about that goal as I'm planning for everything else. Now, while I already have my computer out, I think it's really important that you start to learn about your location and what type of environment you truly have. It's going to be really important to think about what zone you're in. So all you really have to do is Google where you live, your zip code or your town, and say, what growing zone am I in? We are in a zone 7, so you can learn so much about what you can actually grow in your area, how hardy your zone is, and when your season will start and end, when you can actually get there and start to do gardening. You're also going to want to actually step outside and start to survey your area. Where exactly are you going to put this garden? Most people don't have too much of a choice. You have a set space in your backyard that your significant other says, hey, you can start gardening in this space. So you might be pretty stuck on where that is, but you can start to do some research. And during this time in winter, you can actually still get a pretty accurate view because you have such shorter days. It's going to be a little bit harder. But you can start to understand what the patterns of the sun look like. How much sun is this location getting? Is it getting 3 hours or is it getting 5, 6? If it's a really shady spot, you're not going to be able to grow the same type of crops that you would if you have a sunnier location. So you might need to think that you're going to actually pare down what you're going to grow there instead of growing the sky's the limit in a sunnier spot. You might want to grow some kale or lettuces or some things that don't need as much sun. Another thing to think about is what is your type of soil? You're going to have some time now where you can actually take some soil samples and start to understand the pH level of your soil, the acidity level of your soil. For us, we decided to do raised beds, so we were actually bringing in some really nice dirt that we were able to really control. But if you are going to be planting directly in the ground, then you're going to want to understand your soil and you might need to amend it in some way. Since you're going to be growing your own vegetable garden, I also suggest picking a location that you're going to be able to get water to. Now, for us, we had a few different locations in mind that were going to have a really great sun, but they weren't actually places that we could get water to easily from our house. So we ended up taking our barn that we have outside and building a water system off of it that collected rain, and then we use that to actually water our plants. But you're gonna really need to think about a solution, because bringing out kettles of water and hand watering is not a long-term solution, and you're going to be hating yourself in the heat of the summer when you're carrying loads and loads of water manually outside. And not only that, if you pick a place that's too far and you need to be doing daily harvesting, it's going to make it harder for you to get out there and to be harvesting, weeding, and tending to your garden if you pick a further location. So think about all these things. Start to research your area. Where exactly do you want your garden to be? What zone is it? How much sun is it? How are you going to get water? And how far it's going to be from your house before you do any other planning. Now you can actually take pen to paper and start to design your garden. Or in our case, I did a lot of things online. I just used Google Docs and Excel spreadsheets, but there is also online systems you can purchase. Some are free to help build out your garden. And I can show you a picture of our garden up here and what it looks like. But the next step is going to be deciding on the actual length of your garden. So you'll want to go outside. We just kind of put sticks in the ground and then we measured everything out. We ended up putting deer fencing around our garden so it is completely safe from deer, because those are big veggie predators in our area. So you'll definitely want to think about that as well. But once you actually have this space plotted out, then you can start to think about what your design will be inside of there. Now, the sky is really your limit when you start to design out the space, because you can choose to make any shapes, sizes that you want. We decided to do raised garden beds, so we stuck to pretty square shapes when we were doing them, squares, rectangles, and you want to think about how deep you want to make these beds in, like, where are you reaching. We have an 8-foot by 8-foot square bed, and it was kind of not the best planning in that it's really hard to get to the center of the bed. So we ended up doing marigolds in the center to help with, which we're going to talk about, like some companion plants that are going to be great for your garden, but we didn't have to actually reach in there, and it was a helpful companion plant to warding off some different insects, bugs, animals away from some of our veggies in there. The next step is actually planning out your garden, and we do this every year. We come back to that original document that I made, and I really love that it's digital. All I'll do is duplicate the file, and then I'll go in, delete all the blocks that I had in there, all like the names of the plants, and together we'll talk about what we want to grow for the next year. So we take a little bit of an inventory to see if we have seeds left or if we saved seeds from last year that we want to use. And then the fall, winter time is a great time to order up all your new seeds so that they come in time for spring and you can start growing ASAP. Now, you'll really want to start thinking about companion plants at this time. And what is great about these is they're pairings that you can have to help with shade, pesticide control, and improving the soil quality. Some examples of companion plants would be onions and cabbage, carrots and beans, peas and peppers, basil and tomatoes, cucumbers and lettuce, dill and oreganos, garlic, and most vegetables, since it deters aphids. Now, we really like to focus on all the foods that we actually eat. So I like to go in, inventory what we would usually buy from the grocery store, and see how we can supplement that in our garden. So lots of lettuces, tomatoes, onions, potatoes. Honestly, I just think about what are the foods that we want to eat and then how much of it would we want, what things can we preserve, how will we preserve them, and really start to think and plan. This is really important and is going to take a lot of time. This isn't something that just takes like 5 minutes and then you're done. There's a lot of planning that needs to go into this. And one thing that you'll learn every year is the more you do this, the better you get. And you want to try to switch up some of your beds so you're not always growing the same crops in the same bed every year. So moving things around so that they have a new space while they still have all of the resources like the sun or the shade in order to really grow to the best quality as they can. That's really it on how you can actually start to plan your vegetable garden. There is so much more around gardening, and we're gonna come out every week with new content, so stay tuned and talk to you later. Bye.